Conventional.
Conventional.
Internet connections through conventional phone lines are fairly slow.
Bake for 20 minutes in a conventional oven, 8 in a microwave.
A strong believer in conventional morals. A strong believer in conventional morals.
He is conventional in his approach to life.
As traffic grew, the conventional wisdom was to widen the roads.
Conventional forces.
Conventioneer.
Conventioneer.
Convent school.
Convent school.
Converge.
The two rivers converge into one, near Pittsburgh.
Reporters converged on the scene.
Cultural beliefs about the role of women converge with government policies.
The member state should start to have more convergent policies. The member state should start to have more convergent policies.
Conversant.
Conversant.
Staff members are conversant with the issues.
Kim was conversant in Russian.
Conversation.
Conversation.
A telephone conversation.
Children quickly get bored by adult conversation.
A short conversation with the teacher.
A conversation about family and friends.
They had a short conversation in German and seemed to be disagreeing about something. They had a short conversation in German and seemed to be disagreeing about something.
It's impossible to carry on a conversation with all this noise in the background.
Did you have a good journey? He said, trying to make conversation.
He was silent, no matter how hard Sophia tried to engage him in conversation.
After a while, the conversation turned to a friend's coming wedding.
They were deep in conversation, relaxed and smiling.
He could hear snatches of conversation from across the room.
Conversation.
Conversational.
Conversational.
The article was written in straightforward, almost conversational language.
Lessons in conversational German. Conversationalist.
Conversationalist.
Conversation piece.
Conversation piece.
Converse.
Converse.
She enjoyed the chance to converse with another French speaker.
Some teachers welcomed the change, but for the majority of teachers, the converse was true.
A converse example.
Conversely.
Conversely.
American consumers prefer white eggs. Conversely, British buyers like brown eggs. American consumers prefer white eggs. Conversely, British buyers like brown eggs.
Conversion.
Conversion.
The warehouse was undergoing conversion into apartments. The conversion of waste into usable products.
The British conversion to the metric system took place in the 1970s.
A conversion to vegetarianism.
Newman's conversion from Anglicanism to Catholicism.
Conversion course.
Conversion course.
A qualified pilot would still need a conversion course to fly microlight aircraft. A qualified pilot would still need a conversion course to fly microlight aircraft. A qualified pilot would still need a conversion course to fly microlight aircraft.
Convert.
Convert.
They converted the spare bedroom into an office.
The stocks can be easily converted to cash.
A 19th century converted barn.
A sofa that converts into a bed. A sofa that converts into a bed.
In the process, the light energy converts to heat energy.
European missionaries converted thousands to Christianity. She converted to Catholicism.
People who have recently converted to vegetarianism.
She succeeded in converting me to her point of view.
Newly converted feminists.
A convert to Christianity.
Recent converts to the cause.
Convertible.
Convertible.
A convertible sofa.
A convertible currency.
Convex.
Convex.
A convex lens. A convex mirror.
Convey.
Convey.
All this information can be conveyed in a simple diagram.
Ads convey the message that thin is beautiful.
He was sent to convey a message to the UN Secretary General.
I want to convey to children that reading is one of life's greatest treats. You don't want to convey the impression that there's anything illegal going on.
Your luggage will be conveyed to the hotel by taxi.
Conveyance.
Conveyance.
Wheeled conveyances of any kind are not allowed in the park. Wheeled conveyances of any kind are not allowed in the park. The conveyance of goods. Facial expressions are part of the conveyance of meaning. Conveyancing.
Conveyancing.
Conveyor.
Conveyor.
The conveyor of good news.
Conveyor belt.
Conveyor belt.
We lifted our baggage from the conveyor belt.
Convict.
Convict.
She was convicted of shoplifting.
He was convicted on fraud charges.
A convicted murderer.
An escaped convict.
Conviction.
Conviction.
A woman of strong political convictions.
The Doughtons have a deep conviction that marriage is for life.
The students possess the conviction that they can make a difference to their community.
He was able to say with conviction that he had changed.
No, she said without conviction.
It was a reasonable explanation, but his voice lacked conviction. It took her so much effort to speak that what she said carried great conviction.
They had no previous convictions.
Applicants are checked for criminal convictions. This was her third conviction for theft. The trial and conviction of Jimmy Malone.
Convince.
Convince.
Her arguments didn't convince everyone, but changes were made. Baker had to convince jurors that his client had been nowhere near the scene of the murder. Baker had to convince jurors that his client had been nowhere near the scene of the murder.
The officials were eager to convince us of the safety of the nuclear reactors. The officials were eager to convince us of the safety of the nuclear reactors.
I've been trying to convince Jean to come with me.
Convinced.
Convinced.
Molly agreed, but she did not sound very convinced.
I was convinced that we were doing the right thing. Researchers are convinced of a genetic cause for the disease.
Herschel was firmly convinced of the possibility of life on other planets.
Convincing.
Convincing.
Convincing evidence of his guilt.
Courtney played the role in an utterly convincing way. Convivial.
Convivial.
A convivial atmosphere.
Convocation.
Convocation.
Convoke.
Convoke.
Separate meetings have been convoked by the two opposing factions. Convoluted.
Convoluted.
Long paragraphs and convoluted sentences.
The argument is rather convoluted. A tightly coiled, convoluted tube. Convolution.
Convolution.
The endless convolutions of the plot. The many convolutions of the small intestine.
Convoy.
Convoy.
The British left in a convoy of 20 cars.
We drove in convoy.
A military convoy.
American destroyers helped to convoy much-needed supplies to Britain in 1917. American destroyers helped to convoy much-needed supplies to Britain in 1917.
Convulse.
Convulse.
He sat down, his shoulders convulsing with sobs.
A wave of nationalist demonstrations convulsed the country in 1919.
Convulsion.
Convulsion.
His temperature was very high, and he went into convulsions.
The 19th century political convulsions in France.
Convulsive.
Convulsive.
A convulsive sob.
Con's body jerked convulsively.
Coo.
Coo.
Darling, she cooed.
A cooing voice.
Cool, that must have cost a lot.
Cook.
Cook.
Where did you learn to cook?
Cook the sauce over a low heat for 10 minutes.
I'm usually too tired to cook an evening meal. I'm usually too tired to cook an evening meal.
He was cooking rice for supper.
She cooked them all a good dinner every night. She cooked them all a good dinner every night.
I promised I'd cook for them.
Slices of cooked ham.
A cooked breakfast.
He could smell something delicious cooking.
Hamburgers were cooking in the kitchen.
The government was cooking the books and misleading the public.
They've got something cooking and I don't think I like it.
The band's really cooking tonight.
Every night he cooked up a big casserole.
The plan that Graham and Dempster had cooked up.
He works as a cook in a local restaurant.
Cook chill.
Cook chill.
Cookbook.
Cookbook.
Cooker.
Cooker.
A gas cooker.
Cookery.
Cookery.
A 1-year cookery course. French cookery.
Cookery book.
Cookery book.
Cookhouse.
Cookhouse.
Cookie.
Cookie.
A glass of milk and a cookie. Chocolate chip cookie.
Cookie cutter.
Cookie cutter.
The cookie cutter approach of the urban renewal program.
Cookie sheet.
Cookie sheet.
Cooking.
Cooking.
My mother does all the cooking.
I love cooking.
My compliments on your cooking.
Indian cooking.
Simple, basic home cooking.
The rooms all have cooking facilities. The rooms all have cooking facilities. Cooking apples.
Cooking apple. Cooking apple.
Cooking oil.
Cooking oil.
Cookout.
Cookout.
A cookout on the beach.
Cookware.
Cookware.
Cool.
Cool.
She swam out into the cool water.
The evening air was cool.
Relax in the sun with a cool drink.
The cooler weather of September.
A cool cotton dress.
His ability to keep cool in a crisis.
She looks efficient and as cool as a cucumber.
Outwardly she is cool, calm and collected.
A cool customer.
Keep a cool head.
She's pretty cool.
You look cool in denim.
Cool bike.
I'm thinking of studying abroad. Really? Cool.
OK, Ryan, that's cool. I can do it.
I just have to go, you know. It's all right. It's cool. I'm finished. Cool.
My mum was cool about whatever I wore.
Is Friday cool with you guys? Is Friday cool with you guys? Do you want to come over and watch a video tonight? I'm cool with that.
My proposal met with a cool response.
Luke gave her a cool look.
He earns a cool $500,000 every year. The coolness of the nights.
She nodded coolly and walked out.
The air conditioning doesn't seem to be cooling the room much.
Allow the biscuits to cool for 5 minutes.
A cooling breeze.
The affair had cooled, on her side at least.
When tempers had cooled, he apologized.
Come on now, calm down, cool it.
He was getting more serious about her. It was time to cool it.
I'll put him in a cell to cool his heels for a bit.
The air has cooled down a little now. A cold beer will cool you down.
After I cooled down, I realized I had been wrong.
Cool off with an iced drink.
By late autumn, Mediterranean islands have cooled off and can have rainy days.
He slammed the door and went for a walk to cool off.
They went for a stroll in the cool of the evening.
I must keep my cool, she thought. Losing my temper isn't going to help.
Kenneth finally lost his cool with a photographer and threatened to hit him.
She would not show him how upset she was. It was always smarter to play it cool. She would not show him how upset she was. It was always smarter to play it cool.
Coolant. Coolant.
Cool box.
Cool box.
Cooler. Cooler.
Mike went to fetch a bottle of wine from the cooler.
Cool-headed. Cool-headed.
We need a quick-thinking, cool-headed person for the job.
Coolie. Coolie. Cooling off period. Cooling off period.
Customers signing new life policies will have a cooling off period of 14 days in which to cancel.
Cooling system.
Cooling system.
A fault in the power station's cooling system.
Cooling system.
Cooling tower.
Cooling tower.
Coon. Coon.
Coonskin.
Coonskin.
Pictures of traders in coonskin caps.
Coop.
Coop.
Co-op.
Co-op.
Cooped up.
Cooped up.
Cooper. Cooper.
Cooperate.
Cooperate.
The two universities are to cooperate in the development of a new industrial process.
They agreed to cooperate with Brazil on a program to protect the rainforests.
Lions cooperate with each other when hunting game.
As chairman, I was anxious to cooperate with Mr. Baker as far as possible.
Lions cooperate with each other when hunting game.
As chairman, I was anxious to cooperate with Mr. Baker as far as possible.
The church seeks to cooperate closely with local schools. Both sides agreed to cooperate to prevent illegal fishing in the area.
I advised my client to cooperate fully with the police. If you refuse to cooperate, I'll kill you.
Cooperation. Cooperation.
Political cooperation with Britain.
A study was undertaken in cooperation with oil companies. The lack of effective cooperation between industry and higher education.
The need to strengthen international cooperation.
Have your passports ready and thank you for your cooperation.
Your full cooperation is requested.
Cooperative.
Cooperative.
He was doing his best to be cooperative. A cooperative witness.
A cooperative venture between the city council and the police.
A cooperative store in a provincial town. A woman-only housing cooperative. A workers' cooperative.
Co-opt.
Co-opt.
The committee may co-opt additional members for special purposes. She was co-opted onto the county education committee.
Social scientists were co-opted to work with the development agencies.
Nan was co-opted into the kitchen to make pastry.
Coordinate.
Coordinate. The agencies are working together to coordinate policy on food safety.
Her movements were beautifully coordinated.
I couldn't get my brain to function or coordinate my muscles.
Don't be afraid to mix colours, as long as they coordinate.
You might coordinate your curtains and cushions.
The cooker is green to coordinate with the kitchen.
Matching bag and accessories provide a complete ensemble of color coordinates.
Coordinate clauses joined by and.
Coordinating conjunction.
Coordinating conjunction.
Coordination.
Coordination.
Too much alcohol affects your coordination.
Coordination of our economic policies.
Coordination between central and local government.
Coordinator.
Coordinator.
Cop.
Cop.
The local cop. A narcotics cop.
He pulled out his badge and said he was a cop.
They say he's not much cop as a coach.
You'll cop it when Mum finds out. I copped all the blame for what happened. Cop hold of the other end, will you?
Dunn copped a plea to avoid going to jail.
The hero eventually cops off with the princess.
As far as I'm concerned, she's copped out and joined the rat race.
Cope.
Cope.
Sometimes I find it hard to cope. He coped quite well as manager while still captaining the team. He coped quite well as manager while still captaining the team.
She feared she wouldn't be able to cope with 2 new babies.
Local authorities have to cope with the problems of homelessness. Local authorities have to cope with the problems of homelessness. No system is designed to cope with the floods we have had this year. No system is designed to cope with the floods we have had this year.
My computer can cope with huge amounts of data.
Copier.
Copier.
Co-pilot.
Copilot.
Coping.
Coping.
Copious.
Copious.
He could drink copious amounts of beer without ill effect.
She listened to me and took copious notes.
Then she wept copiously.
Cop-out.
Cop-out.
Ignoring the problem is a cop-out.
Copper.
Copper.
He offered to do the job for a few coppers.
Her copper hair. Coppery skin.
Copper beach.
Copper beach.
Copper-bottomed.
Copper-bottomed.
A copper-bottomed guarantee.
Copperhead.
Copperhead.
Copper plate.
Copper plate.
Coppice.
Coppice.
Cops.
Cops.
Cop shop.
Cop shop.
Copter.
Copter.
Copula.
Copula.
Copulate.
Copulate.
Copy.
Copy.
She forwarded them a copy of her British passport.
This chair is a copy of an original design. Be sure to make copies of all the documents.
Backup copies of your files.
We have 6 copies of the movie to give away.
A copy of the local newspaper. The hardback costs £16.99 a copy.
The record sold 1 million copies.
Free copies are available on request. Now that I've seen the finished copy, I'm delighted. The interviews made good copy and helped with the film's publicity.
Could you copy this letter and send it out, please?
To copy a file, press F3.
A design copied from an 18th century wallpaper. The pupils just copy from textbooks and learn facts.
He copied the number into his notebook.
Children often copy what they see on television.
I found myself copying him and his mannerisms.
Jeremy had copied from the girl next to him. I must have copied your number down wrong.
Can you copy me in on the memo you're sending to Chris? Can you copy me in on the memo you're sending to Chris?
The monks copied their manuscripts out by hand. The monks copied their manuscripts out by hand. It is important to copy up your notes soon after the lecture. It is important to copy up your notes soon after the lecture.
Copybook.
Copybook.
Copycat.
Copycat.
Crime reports in newspapers often encourage copycat crimes.
Copy editor.
Copy editor.
Copyist.
Copyist.
Copyright.
Copyright.
Who owns the copyright of this book?
The database will be protected by copyright.
Copyright material.
Copywriter.
Copywriter.
Coq au vin.
Coq au vin.
Coquetry.
Coquetry.
Coquette.
Coquette.
Core.
Core.
Core. Ka.
To correlate.
Coracle. Coracle.
Coral. Coral. Coral.
Coral reef.
Coral reef.
Cor anglais.
Cor anglais.
Cor blimey.
Cor blimey. Cord. Cord.
The robe was held at the waist by a cord.
He pulled explosives and some tangled cord from his bag.
The phone cord.
An extension cord.
We use 3 cords of wood in a winter. Green cord trousers. Cordage.
Cordage.
Cordial. Cordial.
Lime cordial.
An after-dinner cordial.
The talks were conducted in a cordial atmosphere.
Cordially.
Cordially.
You are cordially invited to our wedding on May the 9th.
Cordite.
Cordite.
Cordless.
Cordless.
A cordless phone.
A cordless drill.
Cordon.
Cordon.
A cordon of police surrounded the building.
The security cordon around the Capitol.
Cordon bleu.
Cordon bleu.
A cordon bleu chef.
Corduroy.
Corduroy.
A corduroy jacket.
Co-religionist.
Co-religionist.
Core.
Core.
Remove the cores and bake the apples for 40 minutes.
The core of the book focuses on the period between 1660 and 1857.
Debt is at the core of the problem. Debt is at the core of the problem.
The business needs a new core of trained administrators. A core group of clients.
When I heard the news, I was shaken to the core.
That woman is rotten to the core.
He was a bureaucrat to the core.
The National Core Curriculum.
The core subjects of English, maths and science.
Schools have to deliver the core skills.
The core business of airlines is flying people and cargo from place to place.
The company's core product.
The core values of American liberalism, such as taxing the rich to help the poor.
Co-religionist.
Co-religionist.
Corer.
Corer.
Co-respondent.
Co-respondent. Co-respondent.
Corgi.
Corgi.
Coriander.
Coriander.
Corinthian.
Corinthian.
Corinthian. The game evolved from a purely Corinthian pastime to an internationally recognized entity.
Cork.
Cork.
A cork bulletin board.
Corkage.
Corkage.
Corked.
Corked.
Corker.
Corker.
Corkscrew.
Corkscrew.
Corkscrew curls.
Cormorant.
Cormorant.
Corn.
Corn.
Fields of corn.
An ear of corn.
All our chickens are fed on corn.
Cornball.
Cornball.
Country and Western songs always have such cornball titles.
Cornbread.
Cornbread.
Cornchip.
Cornchip.
Corncrake.
Corncrake.
Corncob.
Corncob.
Corncrake.
Corncrake.
Corndolly.
Corndolly.
Cornea.
Cornea.
Corned beef.
Corned beef.
Corner.
Corner.
He pulled a dirty handkerchief out by its corner and waved it at me. Their initials were sewn on the corner of every pillow.
The TV station's name appears in the corner of the screen.
Jessie sat on the corner of her bed. A three-cornered hat.
Ruth walked with her as far as the corner of the road.
The hotel is on the corner of 5th and Main.
Several women were standing at the corner talking to two police officers. Kids hanging around on street corners. He had tried to take the corner too quickly and had lost control of the car.
There was an old piano in the corner of the living room.
Don't let your enemies back you into a corner.
The writers have painted themselves into a corner by killing off all the most popular characters in the first series.
He found himself in a tight corner, looking for a way to get out. She's gone off to work in some remote corner of the world.
People came from the four corners of the world to make America their new home.
Out of the corner of her eye, she saw the dog running towards her.
There's a bus stop just around the corner.
Economic recovery is just around the corner.
We knew Dad had turned the corner when he started complaining about the hospital food. My line manager supports me and says she's willing to fight my corner. My line manager supports me and says she's willing to fight my corner.
Don't try to cut corners when you're decorating.
London does not have a corner on film festivals.
The company admitted reducing prices to get a corner on the market.
Once the dog was cornered, he began to growl. Once the dog was cornered, he began to growl.
Later, he cornered Jenny on the stairs and asked her what was wrong. Later, he cornered Jenny on the stairs and asked her what was wrong.
They've been trying to corner the market by buying up all the wheat in sight. They've been trying to corner the market by buying up all the wheat in sight.